What is up, my beautiful people? Hope you're all having a wonderful day. Exile 451 here again with yet another daily dose of Reddit Happy. Going back to a favorite sub today, r/self-improvement, for some stories I think you'll enjoy. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. How my depression is ceasing to exist. There's always a nagging feeling I get when I procrastinate. I normally just shrug it off and it continues to nag at me and become more aggressive. So I decided to arrange things in a way that created efficient order. My life was in chaos, but it's finally gotten better. The things I've done are so simple, but they've changed my outlook on life. Little by little, even if I just got out of bed and opened the curtains, I saw that as an achievement. Then, I did it again and again and again until it became habit. I used a budget template on Microsoft Excel to track every single expense. That's the money sorted. I used a template to write down my goals. Even if my goal at this time was to just cook a meal, I wrote it down, long-term and short-term. I titled the document Accomplishments. I visualize what I want as already there for the taking. This chills me out and motivates me to continue. I don't pressure myself into doing what I don't want to do. I take it at my own pace. Even if I get up and exercise for 1 minute, that is an achievement to me. I decided to create habits, and for me, introducing my habits in a positive way helps to create a foundation to progress further. I cleared out my house from top to bottom and got rid of everything I didn't need. It felt mentally amazing to get rid of the clutter. I sorted out my wardrobe, I bought some nice clothes, and decided to make an effort. Not for anyone else, but for myself. I hung up all the jackets, I bought a box to place items of jewelry in. I decided to start with firstly respecting myself, then my home, as it is an extension of me. I read through all the bills and arranged them in order. It took a few hours, but took years worth of stress and chaos off my chest. I feel like my home is my base. It's a representation of me, and when it's cleared up, my mind is cleared to focus on the more important things. A diary. I got a diary and started documenting every single move I need to make. The bus I will catch, the time I will catch it, what I will be doing, it puts my mind at ease. Each time I complete one task, I tick it off, and as I went on, I've got to say the feeling of accomplishment just grows and grows. Also, a journal. At first I was weary of writing down my thoughts, but even if I complete one sentence a day, I see it as an accomplishment. Glass half full or empty type of mentality. Going to bed at a certain time and waking up at a certain time. Once I started doing this, my body rewarded me with amazing sleep. Once I became comfortable with the routines I created, I found that I would then be able to stretch my limbs more and more. Living life actually feels so much better than being bedbound. Who knew? Decor. I arranged things in my home so that everything is easily accessible and, to an extent, visually appealing. I arranged it so that everything is set up the night before, so I can just drift through my home, then leave. I try to make it as visually pleasing as possible. I want to enjoy waking up in my home, and there's so much in sale out there. Even doing that gave me a sense of accomplishment. I would run away from my mind, then I would try and hide from my own home. At one point, everything was just all over the place, which made it harder to complete daily tasks, which in turn made me not want to do anything. Lastly, a morning routine. In the beginning of the day, I set my intentions. I open the window, glad I built that habit, and let the fresh air in, drink my coffee, and listen to some calming music. I listen in on my thoughts. I lean into the negative and explore where it is coming from. I give the issue a set time to speak to me, and then I set my focus on the day ahead. If it tries to come up again, I remind the thoughts that they had their time to speak, and to be respectful and wait until I address them again. Over time, I worked through it bit by bit until I convinced them that it was going to be okay and that they had a voice, but they can't be so invasive. There is a solution, just leave it with me. These are things I did to fight depression. Once my brain began to feel safe and assured, all these horrible thought patterns didn't have any justification. They just became rodents trying to nibble away at anything just to survive. When they do come up, I thank them and I find a solution. It does its best to convince you there's no solution, but it's lying to you. It just wants to fester, and it knows that if you believe it, it will be able to continue to exist. Well, you know, OP, you're right. Depression is so much of a mindset, and part of the thing that keeps driving depression is not meeting the goals, not meeting the tasks that you know you need to get done over the course of the day. Obviously, what worked for you may not work for everyone, but you show that there is a path forward, that depression doesn't have to dominate your life, but that you can dominate it. Thank you so much for sharing what's worked for you, for sharing your story, and for just how even these simple steps have made a profound impact on your life. You've definitely given me some new ideas on what to do with my own life to make it less chaotic, and I really hope that other people who've watched this feel the same. Resisted gaslighting, and I feel kind of proud. I'm uncertain if this should go here, but as it has been something I struggled with in the past, I suppose it fits. I'm a person who has a bad habit of throwing everything on himself. In the past, I've been victim to gaslighting many times. Well, recently, long story short, a friend screwed up. We didn't talk for several days, and then she texted me, placing completely unrelated accusations, trying to trick me into taking responsibility for her dishonesty. I can tell I've grown as a person because instead of just throwing all the blame on me immediately, I paused and talked with my friend. I'd like to think it all came from me, but that wouldn't be true. Actually, I had just finished talking with my friend about it before she texted me, and it kind of allowed me to clear my head. After that, she texted me, and my initial reaction was thinking, I know exactly what you're trying to do. This is already over. I can remember getting gaslighted by another girl who I thought was my friend. She used the same tactic, and it screwed me up for months. Along with another friend who tried to trick me into giving advice so she would be able to justify her leaving her failing relationship and throw all the blame on me. In that instance, it did come from me, and I did point out exactly what she was trying to do. I never got a response. I didn't care, and I haven't spoken to her since June. Well, after she texted me, I talked with my friend again, telling him about the complete BS she was trying to throw on me. He said, yeah, no. This is not at all your fault. I then went back to our previous conversations and found proof she was completely at fault, and likely planned the whole thing. I screenshotted it, not for her, but for me. I didn't know how to respond to her crap, or even if I should. I didn't want to. I thought all of it was stupid. But I did anyway because I felt some small amount of obligation. My friend just said to forgive her and walk away, and I liked that advice, so I did. By forgiving her, it completely avoided all the landmines she laid out in her accusations, and said, yeah, no, don't try and pull that crap on me. You're at fault and you know it. Don't attempt to dump your guilty conscience on me. Live with it, without actually having to say it. So I forgave her flat out. Didn't even address her accusations. And you know what? Just like the first friend, I never got a response. Good riddance. The more of these parasites I can be rid of, the better. Her crap didn't work, and now she has to live with it. Hopefully she'll learn from it, but I doubt it. The moral of the story is, have self-respect. Have good third-party friends who can help give you perspective if you can. Stop and think with a level head before you react, and go back and take records of the conversations. You don't need to explain crap. The more you engage, the more ammunition they have. Just forgive them and move on. I've never been one to have a problem with saying sorry. You shouldn't fear saying I'm sorry, nor should you avoid it if you're truly sorry and in the wrong. But you also shouldn't throw the term around lightly. That is something I've learned through a lot of painful trial and error. I've found the term I'm sorry really means I will accept the weight of this mistake forever. Only accept that weight if it's yours to bear. You know, OP, you're right. There's so many people that are looking for any excuse for someone else to be held responsible for their mistakes in life. And in many cases, even when they can't find someone, they still just make some vague boogeyman. People need to learn how to own up to their mistakes, and it's not fair for them to shove that guilt, that blame onto other people. They don't learn if that's the case. For you to be able to have that self-respect to stand up and say, no, I am not at fault here, this is your own deal, is incredible. So many out there are just people pleasers who will bow down to that pressure at the first sign of hostility. The fact that you were able to stand up for yourself shows an incredible amount of self-respect, and the fact you didn't retaliate or lash back out at her shows a great degree of maturity. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your example, and your advice on how to not take responsibility for things that you have no culpability for. It's a great lesson that so many people these days need to learn, and I'm so appreciative that you were willing to bring it here. Hope you're doing well, and I wish you the best. I've finally discovered my goal in life. Growing up, I had a very fun and interesting childhood. This is what I told myself to cope with the burden of living in poverty. My sweet mother is a dreamer and has a gypsy soul. She wants to live life and fill it with experiences and adventure. Who doesn't want a life like that? I can't fault her for decisions she has made, but it has led us into a cycle of poverty. Growing up, we moved from place to place. To me, living out of a van at a campground was amazing. I got to experience life in a different way than most young kids. School was more of a chore than a requirement. Figuring out ways to get food for the day was always different and its own adventure. Scrapping metal or collecting cans, figuring out the best deals for the most food, it was poverty, but as a child it was fun. As the years passed though, my understanding grew. Not everyone had to go to bed hungry. Not everyone wore the same clothes for days at a time. Not everyone had to walk or ride a bike anywhere they wanted to go. As my understanding grew, so did the reality and stress of living. My mother couldn't handle it all, and in the end, I had to move in with my grandparents. They gave me structure and stability I'd never had, but this came at the cost of their retirement. As soon as I was old enough, I'd have to work. I'm the only one of my 3 siblings to graduate high school. My grandparents have no retirement now and have to live with my aunt and uncles. My mother is still jobless, and my stepfather is 2 years into a job that could give him partial retirement. I know the future is going to be difficult. When my parents become too old to work, they will need to rely on their children. I'm the only one who is working towards a financially stable future at this point. I can feel the weight of this constantly, and I'm only 24. Every financial decision I make, I have to consider in this future. It's terrifying, and at times I'm overwhelmed, but I can't give up. I'm determined. I will not let this cycle continue for my family. My goal in life is to break this cycle of poverty and give my family a chance. My family is my world, and that is my motivation. No matter how difficult the job, no matter how tired I am, I have a goal. Realizing this has given me a peace of mind I never had before. Even though the weight hasn't lifted, I'm still determined to take care of my family. They are all that matter to me in the end. Well, OP, it sounds like you really have your perspective down right, that your family really is the most important thing. You certainly seem to have had an interesting childhood for sure, but coming out of it to where you are now, you have an incredible amount of maturity for someone your age. Instead of just being young and stupid like most people in their 20s, you're actually thinking several years, if not decades down the line, of what your decisions now could result in for the future. That's a great example to set for more people. Not to say don't go out there and have fun in life, but you're doing things right. And one day, your parents and siblings will come to greatly appreciate the sacrifices you're making right now to better your life and potentially theirs down the line. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for sharing your perspective on what it means to really sacrifice at so young an age for the benefit of other people years down the line. You're a great example, you're doing great, and I wish you the best. Social media detox. My results in 17 days. I tried to do the 1 month without social networks, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And, well, at the beginning, I was going crazy. So I realized that I had an addiction to social media. So I closed them, and the only things I'm using are Reddit and WhatsApp statuses. Days later, I felt way more relaxed. I had anxiety, and I never knew why. And basically, my obsession with wanting to be popular and seeing girls with slim bodies and want to be or look like them was the driver. And honestly, that really wears you off. That was my purpose when making the social media detox. But I found a lot of benefits. The biggest one is that now I have lots of free time. At first, I felt I couldn't do more than consume the internet, so to speak. So I binged watched Will and Grace for the second time, 10 seasons with 20-ish episodes each. Then I put my life together and began to exercise and eat better. I used to have a binge eating disorder. Now I don't even like fast food anymore, and I love exercising. I used to weigh 98 kilos, and now I weigh 92, and my body doesn't hurt at all times anymore. I still have 27 kilos left, but I'm still on track. I go out more with my friends, who I realized I'd been careless with, and I did not want to lose them for spending too much time in my room going through social media. Now, every time I go out with them, I no longer check my phone unless it's to see what time it is or if my mother calls me. I fixed my sleep schedule as it was not consistent, even when I went to high school. I used to go to sleep at 5 a.m., wake up at 6:30 a.m., and slept again, about another 4 hours, and so I lived always tired. Now, I always sleep from 12 a.m. to 8 a.m., and I am more productive. I stopped procrastinating. Now, if I have my mind on something, I do it at the moment if it is possible. Right now, I am studying a lot for my admission exam to university. I want to specialize in neuropsychology, and also I'm studying English, Italian, and Russian. That's when I remembered how much I love languages. I realized who my real friends are. When I closed Facebook, only a few asked me why, and they got really interested, and that helps to get the toxicity out of your life. From the more than 300 contacts that I have on Facebook, just 4 people asked. Today, I logged into Facebook again out of curiosity. I saw how much things hadn't changed, and honestly, I'm not missing out on anything interesting. So I closed it again, and I'm not planning to open it again, unless I need an old photo. But I really don't see that happening. Thanks for reading. I love you so much, and I want to see you succeed. You know, LP, there are so many of these sort of social media detox challenge posts, and every single one of them, the common theme is, this cut toxicity out of my life. It's amazing how we just don't see how that can bring so much negative into our life because we're constantly comparing and contrasting and wishing that we had someone else's life. We don't see the things that go on behind the scenes. We just see the vacations and the kids and everything else. Getting off of that network, getting away and out into the real world really does change perspective and change things for everyone. Thank you so much for being brave enough to disconnect in an age where basically everyone has to be connected to social media and show that you really don't. That's a great example to set, especially at what I'm assuming is a fairly young age. And honestly, just stick to it. You're doing great. I wish you the best, and I hope that you can continue on this path. Thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'm truly appreciative of all the growth and all the views that we've been seeing on the channel, and that's thanks to each and every one of you. Thank you all so much. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit that like button and subscribe, as it really does help keep the channel moving and get us noticed. Now you go out there, have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow. Until then, I'm Exile451. Stay beautiful, people.